Ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, welcome to the Pod Tiki How to Make series. My name is Tony, and if this is your first time tuning in, I am the host of the Pod Tiki podcast, wherein each episode, we pick a tiki drink or a prohibition-style cocktail, and we break it down. We talk about the history, we talk about the ingredients, the history of the ingredients, and we try to make the best version of that cocktail. More often than not, it ends up being a way that the original creator, the bartender that made it, wanted it to be. But you never know. Maybe we find some twists along the way. Today we're focusing on a really traditional tiki cocktail, one of the OGs from Don the Beachcomber's menu, and one of the only cocktail, the only tiki drink to actually have been created in the South Pacific. Most of the cocktails, most of the drinks that we know as tiki drinks borrow heavily from the Caribbean, and then were made to be Polynesian and tiki here in the Americas. So this drink, though, was created in the South Pacific. We're talking about the Dr. Funk. Now, the Dr. Funk doesn't get enough credit, I think. It doesn't get enough, maybe because it's easy, maybe because it's not as exotic with all the different flavors, but it does have some exotic notes to it. It is really flavorful, it's really good, and there's a reason why it's persisted throughout the years, not only as one of Don Beach's favorite or original cocktails, but it's on any tiki bar now worth its weight in cane does always have one on the menu or can make one, because it really encompasses a lot of flavors that are integral to tiki drink, tiki culture, tiki drink building. What's the one I'm looking for? The architecture of a tiki drink. Dr. Bernhard Funk was a German doctor that went to Samoa and practiced medicine there for about 30 years. And there's a lot more to the story. Eventually, Don the Beachcomber found the drink. It was very popular in the South Seas, and he had to put it on the menu because, like I said, it was one of the only drinks to actually be made in the South Seas. Although it didn't always use all South Seas ingredients, but if you want to know the whole story, then you're going to have to listen to the Pod Tiki podcast. The last episode just came out. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, all that stuff, and always at podtiki.com. We'll hit that again at the end. But let's jump into the Dr. Funk. Mainly, it's rum, little anise flavor like herb saint, lime juice, pomegranate syrup, which we know now is grenadine, and some seltzer water. So the way this came about was through a disease or an affliction called the cafard. Cafard is like an ennui. It's a depression mixed with the heat exhaustion kind of thing, and it usually affects people who expat to the tropics, and usually wealthy people who don't have to work, and they just kind of are living like they're on vacation all the time, and they actually get like a mental illness, a depression from being, from not really having a purpose, from just kind of going through the banality of life. And one of the cures for that, Dr. Bernhard Funk actually came up with, and it was this. He also fancied himself a little bit of a mixologist, and he became quite famous for that as well. And this is one of the drinks that he came up with to help cure. In a medicinal sense, it originally used absinthe with lime juice or lemon juice, like a lemonade or limeade, and mixed with absinthe, and it was kind of medicinal. And it eventually, when Don the Beachcomber got a hold of it, he tikified it, and now we have the Dr. Funk cocktail. So let's break down the ingredients. We have lime juice. We got my fresh squeezed lime juice right here. We got pomegranate syrup, which is grenadine, homemade grenadine. You can make that at home by using palm juice and cane sugar. Make homemade grenadine. We're going to use some soda water and some herb saint. Dr. Funk would have originally used absinthe, but Don the Beachcomber used herb saint, and I go over why in the episode. But I will say, herb saint, these anise flavored liqueurs, Pernod, the absinthe replacements, they're never going to be the creamy wormwood flavor you get in a real absinthe, but the anise flavor, they still have the color, the green color, and it's a really good spirit, and it's a really good liqueur, and I like to have it with a little bit of cold water like I was having an absinthe. And the last thing, of course, the rum. Now, Don the Beachcomber's original recipe calls for a light Puerto Rican rum. Now, the rums back then that he would have gotten from Puerto Rico, from the Caribbean, would have had a lot more flavor to them than they do now. I'm not saying anything bad about Puerto Rican rums now. It's just that they, in fact, in the summertime, I like sipping on a glass of Bacardi on the rocks. I enjoy it. But back then, there would have been a little bit more flavor to it, a little bit more roundness to it. So I equal that out by using a blended light rum, like a Probitas or something like that. I chose Plantation 3-Star. It's my favorite daiquiri rum, and I really enjoy it. I am an unapologetic fan of Plantation. I love their rums. I love what they do. And this rum is a blend. It's called 3 Stars because it is a blend of Jamaican, Barbados, and Trinidad rums. So you get the light crispness from the Trinidad. You get the sweetness, the richness from the Barbados, and then the Jamaica adds a little bit of funk and rounds it all out. But it's not too funky. But like if you used a funky rum, like an Appleton or a Smith and Cross or a Hampton, it's gonna be too funky. You want something like you want something a little bit blended to kind of somewhere between. You know, a lot of modern bartenders have, because it's called Dr. Funk, and Jamaican rum, the flavor of Jamaican rum is referred to as funky, that really dunger-heavy funk. A lot of modern bartenders have chosen to use a Jamaican rum to kind of bolster the funk, you know, the play on words between the funky rum and the Dr. Funk cocktail. But the original Dr. Funk, named after the doctor, would have used a light, crisp, bright rum. And you get that with the Plantation 3-Star, but just enough Jamaican funk to kind of round it out, and I think it's a good blending. It's equidistant between the two styles, and I think it really captures the essence of this cocktail really well. It makes a really good cocktail in its own right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to... Uh-oh, where's my ice? I always forget the ice. Hold on. See, I already put it aside and still forgot it. You know, I used to cut this out, but I started leaving it in because I feel like my mistakes add to the character of the show. So, you know, what are you going to do? Because when you're making cocktails, like any project, you're always going to come across something that you forgot or you don't have. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten halfway through making a cocktail and realized, oh, I don't have the ingredient, the last ingredient to finish this drink. That sucks. Anyway, we're going to start off, this is a shaken cocktail. We're going to start off with 3/4 ounce of your lime juice. 3/4 ounce lime juice. We're going to do a 1/2 ounce of grenadine. We're going to do a 1/4 ounce of your herb saint. Just a little bit goes a long way when it comes to herb saint. Okay, I should have turned the light on. I can't see. Alright, alright. You know, if I had a producer, I would cut all this out. But then, you know, you guys wouldn't get the real. 1/4 ounce of your herb saint. We're going to do 1.5 ounces of your rum. It's funny because a lot of modern cocktails, especially in the U.S., 2 ounces is like the standard pour, especially for tiki drinks. But it wasn't always that way. I mean, a lot of these cocktails were made in a time when 1.5 ounces was the standard pour for a cocktail. Like if you get the original daiquiri made in Havana, they do 1.5 ounce pour still. And you know, like a rum and coke or something like that would be a 1.5 ounce pour to 4 ounces. So we're gonna add our ice. Get that in there. The ice that I so dutifully forgotten. Then we're gonna shake this bad boy up.
We got the funk. We got the funk. We got the funk.
All right. Then we're going to add in 1 ounce of soda water. It's kind of funny. The soda water gives it like a real sort of small, like hinge of effervescence that makes it does make it feel exotic, even though it may not have all the plethora of ingredients that something like a zombie might have. The texture of this drink is really good with the soda water in there. And you add the soda water in after, because you don't want to shake with soda water, it's already carbonated. We're just going to stir that in afterwards. Alright. You're going to use a Pilsner glass or a tall tiki mug. I chose the Pilsner glass so you guys can see the color. Oh, look at that. Don't you love it when you get like the perfect pour? I love when the drink fills out the top of the glass. I'm a big fan of that. And use my pufferfish straw from Surfside Sips. Bam, there you go. The Dr. Funk cocktail. Take a sip and see what we got. I love it because at first you get the fruit and the herb saint mixture. The pomegranate adds like a rich kind of fruitiness to it, and the herb saint really has an anise flavor that pops out. It makes it feel really kind of I don't know, European for lack of a better word, like a little bit more refined with that anise flavor in there, and then a bit of effervescence from the soda water, and the rum is back there just kind of like chilling out in the background, like floating out, just kind of floating out to sea, but brings it all together, rounding it all out. It's like the rum is like, it's all inside the rum, and then the rum is hugging the rest of the drink, you know? It's kind of in there. I know, I'm crazy with analogies. But it really is a nice kind of sipping, you know, because that herb saint anise flavor kind of makes it taste a little bit more regal. It's a nice kind of tropical drink to have when you're maybe at like when you want to like be a little bit more upscale, when you want to like step it up a little bit. It's, you know, the Dr. Funk is it might look like a foo-foo drink with the pink and the red, but it's really good. I recommend it. And if you have any questions or want to learn more about it, check out the Pod Tiki podcast. Once again, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or always at podtiki.com. You can always check out the social media. We always have social media going on. I'm posting stuff all the time about drinks, about stuff going on where I'm at. And that is going to be pod_tiki on Instagram. Or if you want to follow me for all my shenanigans, my personal page on Instagram is rum_poet. You can also find Pod Tiki on Facebook. And please follow us on YouTube, where you can catch our video-only show called Inside the Mug, where we kind of break down the last episode, go behind the scenes, go inside the mug to kind of see what led us to this cocktail, and maybe things I couldn't fit in the episode. Just kind of a little further more discussion about it. So until then, I'm going to take my Dr. Funk and I'm going to get funky with it. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take this. So we'll see you guys next time. Keep it tiki. My name is Tony. This has been Pod Tiki, how to make the Dr. Funk. Salud. It's funky, funky, funky.